I'm Eric Fulcomer, president of Rockford University. It is my pleasure to welcome you here for this very special occasion. Thank you for joining us. If you're standing in the back and would like some seats, we do have seats, some up front here, and we're bringing in some extra chairs. You are very popular, so people have come to see you. So it is my distinct honor to welcome Senator Tammy Duckworth and members of her staff to Rockford University. Let's welcome them. It was my pleasure to meet with Senator Duckworth in her office in Washington earlier this week, and it is now my honor to have you here visiting our campus, so thank you very much for being here. The Jane Addams Medal for Distinguished Service is the university's highest public recognition and one that we hold in great esteem. There is only one university in the world that can claim Jane Addams as theirs. And so in 1944, the university set out to create an award that highlights the distinction while publicly recognizing extraordinary women, like our most distinguished graduate, have taken stands in their lives that required critical thinking and courageous action. Medal recipients in the tradition of Jane Addams are pioneers in their professions, outstanding in character, and recognized for their contributions to the arts, sciences, and society. The medal, designed by Chicago artist Andreen Kaufman, was first presented to Dr. Florence Sabin during the university's centennial celebration on May 3rd, 1947. Since then, the Jane Addams Medal has been awarded to 37 of the world's most outstanding women in science, education, humanities, the arts, law, literature, and other fields and endeavors. You'll find a list of the recipients on display boards in the back of the room. Jane Addams grew up in Cedarville, Illinois, just 35 miles from here, where her homestead still stands and where she is laid to rest. She graduated from Rockford Female Seminary, now Rockford University, in 1881, receiving the first baccalaureate degree granted from our institution. You might wonder why she was first. Well, she benefited by being the class valedictorian, but also having a last name that started with the letter A. In 1889, at just 27 years of age, Miss Addams and her fellow Rockford Female Seminary graduate and lifelong friend, Ellen Gates Starr, established the Hull House settlement community. Addressing problems created by the American Industrial Revolution and its resulting surge in unfettered urbanization, industrialization, and immigration, Hull House was designed to provide access to social and educational opportunities for those individuals newly arrived to Chicago and in need of what are now considered basic human supports. Hull House became the catalyst for Jane Addams' life's work of peace, social justice, and the eradication of hunger. As a result, she became the first American woman to win the Nobel Peace Prize in 1931. She was also dubbed by J. Edgar Hoover as the most dangerous woman in America for her staunch pacifism. Dangerous? Well, I don't think so, at least not by today's standards, but she certainly was ahead of her time. To provide some insight on why Miss Addams is still relevant to us today, I welcome the Andrew H. Sherratt College Professor and Professor of English, Dr. Mary Weeks-Baxter, to the podium. Dr. Weeks-Baxter also oversees our community-based learning initiatives and our Jane Addams Center for Civic Engagement. Professor Weeks-Baxter.
Thank you, President Fulcomer. I must say I'm just thrilled to be here, so excited about our awarding the medal today. As President Fulcomer stated, the Jane Addams Medal was first presented at Rockford University's centennial celebration in 1947. Back in those days, every one of our first-year students was required to write a paper on Jane Addams. We no longer make that requirement of students in 2020, but Jane Addams' legacy remains a powerful force on our campus. The Jane Addams Peace Garden, for example, is one of the first landmarks that a visitor to campus sees entering from State Street. But perhaps even more significant is the mark that Jane Addams makes on our university through the Jane Addams Center for Civic Engagement. The center's central aim is to provide opportunities for students to expand and apply what they learn in the classroom while being civically engaged through community-based learning projects and volunteer opportunities. The center achieves this goal in pursuit of the center's mission, which is to advance the ideals of Rockford University through the study and practice of citizenship, service, and lifelong learning. In those community connections, our Rockford University students have had a powerful impact. Our students have brought community awareness to the issue of human trafficking, worked with the Family Peace Center to develop protocol for EMTs responding to domestic violence situations, participated in projects supporting the work of the Rockford Rescue Mission, the Jubilee Center in Carpenter's Place, designed logos and branding for a nonprofit raising funds to support cancer patients, traveled to Haiti to provide medical care, developed an after-school STEM program for middle school students at a local community center, and the list could go on and on and on. And I know that Jane Addams would be proud of her alma mater. I'm pleased to say that the legacy of Jane Addams remains a strong influence on who we are as an institution and on the values that continue to be a central part of our mission. Her legacy also provides us a challenge to remain actively engaged in our world and to push back against the pull of complacency. Days like today are incredibly meaningful as we have the privilege to celebrate with people like Senator Duckworth, who embodies the ideals of service and justice for the betterment of our society. Recently, I had the opportunity to visit Toynbee Hall in London, which inspired Jane Addams' establishment of Hull House after she visited there. My stop was a reminder that many of the world's social problems are ones that human beings have created because of our failure to empathize, to cross that line between ourselves and others. Addams, in her words, reminds us of the necessity of crossing that divide. And I quote here from Jane Addams: "The good we secure for ourselves is precarious and uncertain until it is secured for all of us and incorporated into our common life." Senator Duckworth, you are most deserving of this recognition, and we are so pleased to welcome you to Rockford University.
Thank you, Professor Weeks-Baxter. Hearing more about the legacy of Jane Addams further illustrates why we are so grateful that Senator Duckworth has accepted our invitation to receive this honor today. As I noted earlier, this award publicly recognizes extraordinary women who have taken stands in their lives that required critical thinking and courageous action. Medal recipients in the tradition of Jane Addams are pioneers in their professions, outstanding in character, and recognized for their contributions to the arts, sciences, and society. These attributes are clearly evident in the life and unfinished legacy of Senator Duckworth. That she would lead a life of service became apparent at an early age, where she had dreams of becoming an ambassador. Studies in political science and international affairs led to pursuing her doctorate at Northern Illinois University, where she says she discovered her love for the Midwest and felt immediately at home. In the midst of her studies, her military career also took shape, waylaying her doctoral work. She excelled here too, graduating in the top 3 in her class as a helicopter pilot, eventually earning her place to serve alongside her male counterparts. She retired from her distinguished military career after 23 years in the armed forces. She is a Purple Heart recipient, a former Assistant Secretary of the Department of Veterans Affairs, and holder of multiple degrees, including that finally earned PhD in 2015, a testament of her tenacity to never quit. Senator Duckworth was among the first Army women to fly combat missions during Operation Iraqi Freedom. She's the Senate's first member born in Thailand to an American father, also a decorated veteran, and a Thai mother of Chinese descent. She's the Senate's first female combat veteran amputee and the first member to give birth while in office. These notable firsts are an amalgamation of the beautiful and the unfathomable. They are made notable because of Tammy Duckworth's exceptional character and her fearless drive to serve her country and its citizens. The attack that ravaged her body only served to strengthen her resolve and determination to be an agent of change and an advocate for those in need despite her own challenges. During her year-long recovery at Walter Reed Army Medical Center, she met and befriended former Senator, Republican presidential nominee, and World War II veteran Bob Dole, who was also there receiving care. And it was Senator Durbin who sought her out and invited her to attend the 2005 State of the Union. It was at that point, and with the encouragement from Senator Durbin, that she began to consider a political career. The instances in your life, Senator Duckworth, during which you have displayed exceptional courage and critical thinking are exemplary. You have dedicated your life to public service, and through your work as a United States Senator, you have advocated for the rights and advantages of the most vulnerable and underrepresented among us. As such, it is my distinct pleasure to present to you, on behalf of the Board of Trustees and all of us here at Rockford University, the Jane Addams Medal for Distinguished Service. Please join me up here at the podium. Okay.
I'm good.
Okay. All right.
Here we go. Well, it's fabulous to be here, and thank you so much. And thank you, Doctor, for nominating me. I very much appreciate it. That was quite an introduction. By the way, that's my fighting weight picture. That was pre-baby. To all the moms out there, that was pre-baby. I'm trying to get back to that. I will. In time for my next re-election, I got 2 years. It is so great to be here. Really, just a special thank you to President Volkamer. We also have State Representative Maurice West and Joe Sosnowski here. Mayor Tom McNamara was here as well. Thank you all for making me feel so welcome. I want to start off with a quote. "The good we secure for ourselves is precarious and uncertain until it is secured for all of us and incorporated into our common life." That's what Jane Addams wrote in 1892, 3 years after she opened her arms and the doors of Hull House to those in need across the west side of Chicago, proving that there's nothing more powerful than combining action with compassion. I'm so proud that Illinois gets to call Jane Addams one of our own, and I'm so honored to receive this medal this afternoon. Thank you all so very, very much. To me, what defines America as great is the belief that we are all brethren, that our lives are braided together, our fates, like our states, are united. As our nation's motto says, e pluribus unum, out of many one. And Jane Addams was the living embodiment of this idea, of this ideal. And every day, through every deed, she proved that doing well for ourselves is infinitely less important than doing good for others. You know, I was proud to serve in the military for 2 decades, and I'd give just about anything to be able to climb back into the cockpit of my Black Hawk and fly just one more mission with my crew. But what Jane made clear is that American service isn't limited to defending our country in uniform. And I truly believe that just as picking up a rifle and shipping off its Americans and shipping off to war in service to America is service, so too is picking up a soup spoon to feed the less fortunate a piece of chalk to teach low-income kids, or a hammer to build a house for those in need. Service comes in many forms. And in fact, American exceptionalism and what makes us great as a nation isn't the might of our military and the strength of our armed forces. It's not measured in how many tanks and guns and helicopters we have in our arsenal. Now, I'm partial to the helicopters, so, you have to forgive me if I vote for more of those. But let me give you a statistic that shows you how inconsequential a measurement of the strength of our nation the might of our military is. The military, the DoD has over the last several years put out a study, both them and the Military Officers Association of America have put out a study over multiple years that shows that of all the eligible 18 to 24-year-olds in this country, they are only able to recruit from 29% of that population. 71% of our young people in this country do not qualify for military service because of several factors. The first of which is that they cannot pass the basic 8th grade level math and English test, or do not have a high school diploma or GED. And even if they have that diploma or GED, they still can't pass that basic test to get into the military. And it's written at the 8th grade level because all military manuals are written at either the 6th or the 8th grade level. So they can't get in because they failed that test. Or they have an undiagnosed or untreated childhood medical condition, usually asthma, ADHD, or they have obesity, diabetes, something along those lines. Treatable conditions that went untreated to a point that now they're no longer qualify for military service. Or they have a felony conviction, usually tied to the drug epidemic, and oftentimes it is for marijuana possession, even in states where marijuana is now legal. Those three things combine to make 71% of our young people ineligible for service. So what is the point of having F-35 fighter jets and the latest generation in armaments if you don't have the people who can man them, who can maintain them? So I say, let's put some work towards ourselves, our neighbors, and making sure that those who are hungry get fed, those who need to be educated get the top education no matter where they are in the world, where they are in our nation, that those who need health care get access to basic health care, a fundamental right of a human being. And then we can worry about the guns and the tanks and the helicopters. But truly the might of America is in the people of America. It's in who we are and what we can do for one another. I probably should never have survived my wounds in Iraq, but I did. And I did because some really amazing, heroic men carried me to safety, my buddies. And they carried me to safety, and I woke up in a hospital 11 days later, and I knew that I owe them. I knew that I owed debt I could never repay. And every day since then, I have tried to live up to the sacrifices they made to save my life. And the way I do that isn't by flying helicopters again, but it is by trying to make every day something a little better in this country. Incremental steps, perhaps, but we can all do it. You know the old saying, how do you eat an elephant? Well, one bite at a time. We can make this country better, one bite at a time, one gesture at a time. We were just talking at lunch with your amazing student body representatives, and we were talking about the potential that there may be student body members here at this university who are hungry, because food insecurity is a very real problem all across our country. We talked about perhaps doing a food pantry or doing a study on whether or not there is food insecurity within the student body here. I think that is a very noble thing to look at. I think we should work to expand access to education, to the ballot, to job training, to healthcare, to childcare. We need childcare in our schools because so many of our students now are non-traditional students and have children at home. Well, many people would not even be able to come to school if they don't have access to childcare. We have to start to look out for those who all too often get pushed to the margins, from veterans to students to single moms juggling jobs. And year after year, we need to fight to pass legislation that would ensure that every young American who wants to serve this country has the ability to do so, no matter their tax bracket or background. It's why I've introduced legislation that would actually promote national service, voluntary national service. Did you know that right now the acceptance rates to programs like Teach for America, AmeriCorps, it's actually tougher to get into those programs than it is to get into an Ivy League university, because there's so few slots available. We need to make this a universal experience for our young people. So when you turn 18, you should get a letter in the mail that says, "Congratulations on turning 18, woohoo!" But now you have an opportunity to do any one of these things to serve your country. You can join the military, and for that you get 4 years of college education. You can join Teach for America, and for that you get whatever it is for your tuition. You could go and work for Habitat for Humanity, and for that you'll get a stipend. Or you can choose to opt out of the letters and say, "No, I don't want to serve my country, don't send me this letter again." But if you don't, for every 2 years under my legislation, for the entire period of your 20s until you're 30 years old, you get that letter every 2 years. "Hey, happy birthday! Did you ever think about serving, have you thought about serving your nation again? You could go to the Peace Corps. You could do this, you could do that, and for this you get college money." I truly believe that if I picked up a rifle and got 4 years of college education, you should be able to get 4 years of education so that you can graduate debt-free by serving your country, perhaps in 18-month stints. But we should all be able to do that. And in doing so, we make our nation better, and we serve each other. And in so doing, we serve ourselves. So I hope that I get more folks to sign on. I have folks who have signed on my legislation, but we're going to keep working. After all, we need our military to protect our nation, but we also need civilian volunteers to make sure the country those troops are defending is strong, that its families are healthy and educated, and that its children have roofs over their heads and food in their stomachs. We need the next Jane Addams to open the next Hull House, giving back to a country that has its faults, sure, but a union whose people strive to make it more perfect with every hour spent teaching, feeding, or housing those in need. Jane Addams knew that our nation's greatness came from its people's goodness. So what began at Hull House continues with us here today, as it now falls on us to keep alive the work that she began. You have my word that I'm going to keep fighting to make our state, our country, that better, fairer place Jane Addams worked so hard to bring about. And I know you in this audience and you at this university will also. So I'm so grateful to have you all as my partners in this effort. Thank you again for this honor. It really does mean the world to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Duckworth, for those inspiring words for us and for the inspiration that I believe you gave to our students today. So thank you very much for being here. Thank you all for attending this event. Thank you to those who put it together, particularly Rita Elliott in the Communication Department and Jen Cunningham in my office, and for all who were involved in making this day a special occasion. Thank you to Professor Bill Doria, who nominated Senator Duckworth for this honor and for being able to be able to do this today. So thank you very much all for being here. We have some refreshments set up in the back of the room. This does end our formal portion of the presentation. Thank you for coming, and please enjoy one another's company.